right, welcome. I'm Vince Polito. This is Purpose and Power Talk, episode 3, Conversations on Transformation. I'm here with Kathrine and Serge Gasc, beautiful couple that I've had the opportunity to experience delivering some sensuality awakening. They are coaches, they are healers, they are a space of love and safety and intimacy. They encourage couples to connect through various practices and experiences, ways of being and relating to one another that allows the relationship to really thrive. And we had a wonderful little intro conversation. I'm very stimulated by some of the concepts that you were sharing about relationship, as far as the North Pole, the South Pole, or positive, negative forces in the relationship, and just the fact that you guys are really committed that people get that intimacy at a higher level is available. And I'll just say that I know that based on my own relationships and what I know from the people I work with and just witness out in the world, there seems to be like a loss of power, a loss of love, a loss of intimacy inside of relationships. And there are some factors that can be identified and transmuted, I would say, transformed. And I would love for you guys to share some insights on what have you discovered around that, and what do you see possible in relationship when people apply the practices and the teachings that you've been learning over all these years?
You start.
So I think what we are witnessing is a loss of energy, period. So when two people fall in love, when they first meet, it's like this rush of adrenaline, right? Everything is sparkling and we melt into each other, and the world around does not exist anymore. We're on this bubble, and we are capable of climbing mountains. And that is mostly because of the hormones that are produced when we fall in love, when we are in love, the oxytocin, serotonin that charges up the being with excitement and passion. But after a while, when the two people are together, between 2 to 6 months, chemistry dies off. It's called chemistry, right? It's a chemistry when we say two people have chemistry with each other. But that it dies off. It's a natural thing. So what do? We get stuck, and we don't actually understand that concept. And we just let it die. It's like wood, right? We make a fire. It's like fire. We make a fire, and we need to put more wood to keep the fire going. It's the same thing with passion and intimacy. We need to keep adding wood. And I think a lot of people most people, we maybe go to the gym every day or every other day. We take care of the body. We brush our teeth every day. We go to the doctor every year to check up on our physical well-being. What about our emotional well-being and the emotional well-being of the relationship? What do we do for that? We go on dates, we go out, we go on a trip, and that's all great. And that, it's beautiful. It's time spent together, but ultimately they're rewiring the chemistry that we're looking for. How do we find it? At home.
So let me recap a little bit of what you're saying here, because this is beautiful. So I hear you saying that in the beginning of the relationship, it's like wing, like all those chemicals are just alive and dancing. And then it's a very natural process for a couple after a few months or so to experience the loss of that. It's natural. There's nothing wrong. And I think I want to emphasize and highlight what you're saying. You're saying, hey, this is not wrong. This is just a natural phase of relating. And then from there, there's what's possible is the nurture of, it sounds like the emotional being and well-being of the relationship. And it's something that we have to produce or work at or develop together, like keeping a fire going. So I just wanted to recap what you're sharing, because this is rich information. And I think a lot of people fall into the trap of like, oh, the love is gone. Maybe I'm with the wrong partner, and like they just give up and they don't look into what's possible. So I would love to hear from you guys. So what's possible from that point? What do we do? And, what are the practices, or what do you suggest? How does it work out?
I would say what is possible is that being still in love after 22 years together,
Oh my goodness.
having fantastic intimacy,
Yes.
and the way we arrived there, or the way we were able to stay in this loving relationship, is through exercise and practice and dates and tantra. Tantra.
So I want to say that like Tantra has many different dimensions, and I think some people hear Tantra and like it's all about sex. And then I know from the beautiful people in my life that I've learned about Tantra from that Tantra is about, at the highest level, it's about divine awakening, and it's everything in between. And I think there's nothing shameful about sex. I mean, there are people I've heard that kind of abuse the Tantra conversation. I've heard some stories that people have shared about their experience with so-called Tantra teachers, and it was all about sex and orgies and that kind of thing. And then there was like a lot of negative judgment. But then I've only run into people who are studying Tantra who teach the divine awakening, who show how to restore relationship. And, that's the dimension I've seen. So I want to highlight the beauty of it and make sure that we understand that, you two come from that place of the divine awakening and the love and the connection and embracing sexuality in a powerful and beautiful way. So just wanted to clarify that, and then go ahead, let you share, like, what is that for you guys?
I think Tantra is about using your energy to reach higher level of beauty and connection. And love, and we use different techniques, including the tantric date, which is a moment very important where a couple decide to be together and just together for a couple of hours and play and connect and communicate and boost their energy. And we have been practicing that a lot since we met, and we push couples and even couples to have those tantric dates as often as once a week,
or more.
The tantric date, generally, what we call a tantric date, generally will be home or in a space where you will be alone with your partner. The date means whatever, movie, restaurant, etc. But we really push people to be together, not disturbed by any phone, by any kids or things to do, and spend some time playing but in ways that will be soft, sensual, probably. And that will.
So how? So what do we do? We can show you maybe a couple of things.
Yeah, beautiful. We're going to go into that. So I want to acknowledge, and I'm going to acknowledge, number one, this is beautiful. The tantric date. I haven't heard that term, and I love it. And I love that you're saying, hey, just be in a lone space. And what I'm hearing in this that I would like to highlight is the play factor. And what I'm getting from myself is like, we might not know how to do that. We may have never seen our parents do that or any other couples do that. And so we're like clueless. But just because we don't know doesn't mean there aren't these other possible ways of relating to our partner. And so you're about to talk about how, like, some play tactics, I guess, inside of the tantric date. And I just want to hear that. I think it's great.
I want to come back on the we don't know how, because a lot of the games, the exercise we do during this tantric date are coming from the past, from when we were kids.
Love that.
Playing with a feather or tickling.
Tickling
is an incredible way to boost your energy. You jump to the
right.
We will do crazy little games like writing in the back. You write in the back of your partner and it tries to discover what you're writing.
Oh, wow.
all these exercise, all
Or
these
eye gazing.
games, all these games we've done when we were kids.
Yes.
I think, or most of us, we've done.
Most of us.
I get what you're saying. It's like like there's a lot that we do when we're children, but it's almost like, so we do, like, instinctively we have it in us, but then it's almost like we just kind of like just cut it off, or we just ignore it, or maybe it's not accepted.
Whether it was when we were kids or at the beginning of the relationship, like eye gazing, definitely at the beginning you're just looking at your partner and expressing your love and your admiration to your partner. After 15, 20 years, I have to say you have to force yourself to
Really?
eye gaze. Because, well, you know the color of the eye completely and you've seen it a million times.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It doesn't have that same, it's not the same as in the beginning where it's so natural and automatic. Like it's just there. It's like, but just because that feeling of automaticity isn't there, like I just want to do this, like it doesn't mean you can't do it. Like I know you don't mean force, like it's like a difficult thing. So it's like you have to make a conscious effort, I guess, is what you're saying.
It's not difficult to do, but
conscious.
Yeah, you have to think about it and
choosing
decide.
it.
Then you will communicate other things, because 15, 20 years, 2 years later, your mind is different. Your wish and your wills are different, maybe different. So when you gaze now, it's you communicate different sensation, different feelings, different power than the first time you met and you were just
yes. right.
So that we will, during this tantric dates, we will really go through a lot of exercise, games, whatever, to reinforce this communication. We will touch, we will you will communicate. Communication is so important. Way to communicate. Position in which you can communicate. You will receive, you will give, and receive. And trying to exchange role, so that maybe the man who generally is the giver will receive, and then you switch. It's many activities like that really recreate this intimacy, this
and the chemistry. You recreate the chemistry, and then that's called alchemy. So that's the whole purpose of the Tantra, is creating alchemy. We take the ingredients that at first were there naturally, and we bring them together and create the explosion again.
I love that. Yes. So this is good news. I mean, I feel like this is the gospel of relationships, because it's like a lot of relationships fall apart. 50% of marriages, whether they're Christian or non-Christian, it doesn't matter, right? Because they seem to be like the ones who are proponents for marriage, but even still, about 50% of Christians divorce. And it's like, I think a lot of it's just, there's just a lack of communication. There's no understanding or choosing to create the passion. And it's like people are either lazy or they don't know. And they just fall into the trap of disbelieving possibilities. And you guys are saying like, no, man, we're 20 some years married, and we create that aliveness. We're choosing it. And it's great that the two of you are both on that same page. What I want to ask you now is, what does a couple do? Like, you're in a relationship and partner's like not there. The fire seems to be gone. Like, they're, what if one person's like gung-ho about like, let's create intimacy and connect, and the other person's like, I don't want to, or like, what do you say about that? Like, what can we do?
Okay, well, that's a great question, because it actually kind of happened to us.
Got it.
Where it was me that was feeling that disconnect and that loss of energy. It was there, but Serge was not so much complaining about it.
So, we were working, we had kids, new kids, young kids, a year or two, and planting new responsibilities and going to work a lot, and I thought it was normal. Right. Yes, we are less connected than 4 years ago, but okay, it's like everybody. And she's the one who really was no,
I said, no, it cannot
cannot
happen,
stay.
because I also was witnessing a lot of friends around that had kids like us, and they were separated.
Mm.
And I said, oh, I don't want this to happen to us.
Mm.
No,
Wow.
no. So I just went on a mission. I said, I'm putting all my energy in finding ways to get out of there.
Wow.
And I took it upon me. I didn't ask him. You know, I told him, but I was like, I'm just doing it for me to save, you know, kind of like in a plane, you know, you save your family. I want to save our family.
Wow.
So I went to a therapist. I found a lady therapist that actually gave us the first tips of Tantra. And she didn't call it Tantra at the time.
Right.
But it was more like, okay, you go back. She gave me things to do at home. You go back to not making love at all. Forget about making love. Forget about that. Take it out. And just go back to holding hands and just, you know, same thing, look into the eyes. So there's so many steps along the way of our journey, but what I'm saying is that I took the thing in my hands and I said, I'm paying. I don't care if I waste all the money in my bank account right now, because my family is more important than anything.
Wow.
And my well-being too.
Yes.
When it came to Tantra, same thing. I was called to Tantra, and Serge was, you know, resistant. He was like, no, I'm not into that. No, it's too much money. We don't have time. I prefer to go to the beach. I prefer, you know, on my free time, I'd rather do something else, right? I said, okay, we are doing this. We are doing it. I impose
Actually,
this.
I have to say, at the beginning, it was a little bit frightening. Tantra, this guy are talking about, we are going to express our problem to this guy that I don't know. And then fortunately, quickly, we found good points. And yeah, it may be a little bit difficult at the beginning, but the results were very quick to come. Some results.
Yes.
And then we found ways to have fun with it.
And it's fun.
To have fun with it. Definitely the tantric date, I'm talking about the tantric date, it's really a moment where we use plenty of different techniques at the same time for a couple of hours. And those tantric dates, we made them fun. It was like two kids playing.
So I want to go back to, yes. And,
sorry.
Yes, no, this is great. And I'm so happy.
This is actually, thank you for sharing that, Serge. It was, you know, let me highlight one thing he said for men, because as a man, it's not easy. You know, women are more inclined, mostly, not always, but mostly more inclined to talk about what's going on or whatever. And men are kind of like a little bit more like, you know, guarded, and in most cases. And I relate and I understand. And like, I think it's so good to model that for men, to like, let, you know, you allowed it to happen. You were frightened. You said it was like, hey, I don't know about this. But you took that step anyway, and you got pretty immediate results. It didn't maybe fix everything, but you got results that you could notice, and it made a difference in your relationship, I hear. Really awesome.
Yes, and it's, I also see often the women want to do it, but they're very afraid, and they say, oh no, my husband will never do this. I'm never going to be able to take him there. And that's a limited belief, because that's what they assume. And maybe some men, did you ask? And I said, did you ask? Not really, because you wouldn't want it. So that's a limited belief to go beyond. And then the man would say, oh, my wife will never do this. It's both sides. It's like belief about each other. But they don't really communicate. Listen, I found this thing that's amazing, that I would love to try. It's how we communicate. I would love to try and to try for us, for our love, our relationship. Would you come with me? And that feels good, all right. You know, it's not like we have to do this. We have to go to couple therapy. That sounds so dramatic and so, you know, we're going to work therapy.
And you're not making him wrong. I got, like, the way you did that, you're like, hey, I love you, come, like, let's do this, like, I'm with you, like, this is great, I want both of us to experience it. Like, I felt your union with him. It wasn't like, hey, you got to do this because something's messed up with you and I want to fix this thing.
Exactly.
That was powerful. I heard that.
It's like, you come and trusting. It really requires trust, that from myself, and then from him that is going to listen, is going to feel that my love, my intention behind it, and it's just to that it's for the right intention. Yes. So it's really, I find in relationships, I see it all the time. The two people get stuck. They build resentment because they haven't been connecting physically or emotionally for a while, and they're like, oh no, he doesn't love me anymore. She doesn't love me anymore, and she won't want me. She's going to reject me. And so, of course, we're building walls. And this practice is the fastest, most efficient way that we have found, and we explored a lot. Trust me. For a couple of years, we did that like full time, pretty much. It's the fastest, most efficient way we found to reconnect the heart and go back to that state of just pure love, and kind of rewire the bond. And it's so simple. It can be very, very, very simple.
Yeah, once you get it and do it, it actually is simple. Maybe getting to it is difficult, but
it's like jumping from the airplane or just anything we do in life. Anything. Right?
So what is it that you do? What exactly were you doing? You said connecting at the heart level. Was there something specific you were doing?
Well, I would say that the eye gazing is one thing, but the most efficient, powerful for me is the hug.
A hug.
Yeah. Just hugging each other. And we talk about the melting hug.
I love that term.
Hug is when we, Tantra is about energy and aligning our energy centers. And the melting hugs really aligns the energy centers of the man and the woman. And
are we going to get a demo?
Yeah, it's a demo, definitely.
We have to see it.
Don't wait. Actually, we could do yum yum.
It's just
I feel the surrender.
Yeah.
The melt. It's actually refreshing to see that and experience that over here. Like really, like I'm looking at you two and my heart's opening. I feel more alive just witnessing the two of you connecting that way. So that's really cool.
A hug in the morning, a hug before falling asleep. It's
just that. Just these two little simple things. Hug when you wake up or when you step out before you leave to work, and a hug when the woman works and the man works and both tired and they get home and they have all the chores to attend to, right? And we run until we go to sleep, and then we hope that we're gonna have intimacy once we're in the bed, right?
Right.
And that happens only when you're like maybe in the mood. But how can you be in the mood if you're still carrying all the stuff from the day, from your clients, from your kids, and all this stress, right? How can you get in the mood? And the hug is a fast way to just connect, and it's removing the goal of having sex. It's like melting into each other. That's what we want.
It's not removing the goal, in my opinion. It's just putting it on the side.
Removing the pressure.
It's not making it the goal is what I'm hearing. It's like sex can happen, but it's not the priority. The priority sounds like it's connection.
Connection.
Exactly. And then that could lead to sex, or it may not lead to sex. It's like, but the aim is connection. And if sex fulfills the connection, great. If it doesn't, and it's just touching and hugging, that's great too.
The sex will be better if there is a connection.
Oh yes.
But it's difficult to have a real connection, true connection, if you want sex behind. I mean,
you have a goal. An expectation.
An expectation. I like that.
And I'm going to say something very important that has been coming up for me. I hear people talk about intimacy, and intimacy is being mixed with sex.
Yeah, it's getting confused with the word sex.
And what is really intimacy? Intimacy in every day. It's like holding a hand. It's connecting on an intimate level. We are having an intimate conversation right now. Why? Because we are present with each other. Mm-hmm. We are listening to each other. We are paying attention to each other. And that's sharing. And sexuality, I think when we have sex, what is the desire behind having sex? It's pleasure, right? It's a pleasure because it's pleasant. But it's also to melt into each other, right? It's to feel the other person and to melt and to have this expansive experience that we feel like out of our head and just totally open, right?
I love the sound effects. Like, like I'm like that. I'm Italian, so we talk with our hands and we make sounds, and so it really animates it.
When we limit the sexuality, the sex to the genitals, to the physical part, the genital, I would say, it's a limited experience, and it's great. It's pleasant, but it's limited to the physical part. Where tantric sex, I would say, is an experience over the whole being.
The whole being. I really get that. So it's beyond. It's the whole being. It's the low to the high and middle and everything in between and all around. It's like, so what would you say to someone who doesn't know how to do that in relationship? What if they have never known that level of sexuality, which rises up through the whole being and into the other being? What if they've only had a lower level and now they're in a relationship and maybe one person's more capable of being intimate at that level and one's not? Like, what is the person who's not, how do they work through that, or what do they do?
Fortunately, Tantra really is now much more common, and you have plenty of books, plenty of teachers.
But they can come and see us.
Yeah. Some of them, but there are podcasts, videos, books, audiobooks on Tantra, and if you find the one that actually has been written or it has been reviewed positively by a lot of people, you will probably find some good help and good tricks to start your journey. And then, meeting with people like us, with a couple that has been successful in their life using Tantra, is probably a good way to go.
I love that. I like modeling, and I do want to highlight both of you guys. You do work with clients, you work with couples, you work with individuals, you work with groups, because I've been part of them, to experience that. And I brought my lovely Elena to one last event that we experienced together, and we both loved it. And being guided, I mean, it's so important, because like we wouldn't have done that without being guided by you guys. And like, it's simple stuff. It's so simple, but it just doesn't occur to me or her to do that until we're there. And you guys like give these exercises, these opportunities. And it's like child's play. It really is like being like a child again. And like, there's an innocence and a freedom and a beauty and a connection. And it's like, wow, it's so simple. And it's like, how did we forget that? But the guidance is key. And I will create an opportunity for people to connect with you through whatever means we choose when I make the post of the video, so they could look in the description and they'll be able to connect with you either through Facebook or a website or a phone number, whatever works, and have a conversation. I know you guys do discovery conversations or whatever you call them, so that people can check in with you, get to know you. You can learn about their situation, and if they want to create a relationship of coaching, they can do that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We want to hear where the person's at and what is their needs and level of experience at different levels. And kind of like training of programs of like 5 sessions each for different levels.
Yes.
And the way we work is one-on-one sessions.
Or 2 and 2.
Or 2 and 2. So, because sometimes one person totally refuses to do sessions. And it's okay. Because one person from the relationship can go and learn and then bring it home. So we help them to take it home to their partner.
And that's what you did. I mean, that's pretty much right. You went for the therapy, you got some practice.
And then he came. Even the
Yeah.
first, the therapy, because he saw the results in me.
Yeah.
For a couple of sessions, even the other traditional therapy,
Mhm.
he saw the results, and then he said, "Okay, I'm coming," because I was doing much better, right? So he was attracted to it. So that's the same thing. One person that is feeling it the most goes, tries it, does the work for herself, and then bring it home, and the other person will join in.
Beautiful.
And
That's very encouraging.
We have a way to do that. That's very easy and smooth and fun and pleasant.
I love it.
And then we bring them into the group experiences, which are also another aspect of it. And all our sessions, I would say, are different. So we also going to take them in different settings, different scenarios. So we have a private studio right here on the beach that we do our sessions.
In Miami.
In Miami. But we also can take them to our home. We have a home, and we can take them in nature. We can take them on the beach, or different things that will get them out of their routine.
Yes.
Kind of look at life in different perspectives and give them ideas for their dates, tantric dates, which doesn't have to be just at home. It can be in different locations.
I love this.
Each place is going to be tantric experience.
Yes,
So,
let me bring to light something that's important here, because this is very rich what you're sharing. So I want to make sure no one's missing it. The one thing I wanted to highlight that I think viewers and listeners will need to know is that even if only one person's willing, there's definitely hope. Just because your partner's unwilling doesn't mean that there's no hope for the relationship. And I really want to emphasize that, because there's a lot of couples that are like fractured and they feel like, man, this is never going to get better. And it's like, hey, actually listen, your husband or your wife or your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner may not be willing to do any therapy or whatever, but hey, look, you could work with Kathrine and Serge, and you can, talk with them and let them nurture and support you in developing yourself and healing and opening and expanding, and then show your your partner see the results. You don't have to wait for them to do it, to get into action, to get into a conversation, and to get some coaching and training support from you guys. So I want to make sure people know that that's a possibility and that they take action, because the relationship doesn't have to die. It really doesn't. And I'm very passionate that relationships live. Sometimes there's a need. I understand separation may be the right thing, but a lot of times I'm not sure that it is. A lot of times I think it happens because of just not knowing what to do and not being guided, and just the past is actually taking people out of relationships, and they just haven't evolved through that yet. And I just would love to see people come to you and really get that experience. In fact, I'm going to come to you and we're going to have a conversation after this because I want to grow more, and I know you guys are awesome. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and engage with you guys and say, like, I want to go further, because I've already been blessed from the interactions with you, and this conversation is very enriching. So I want to ask you now, like, what else, because we're coming up to the end of the conversation here, and I would say, what would be the most important thing that you feel couples need to know to really salvage the relationship?
Communication. Finding good way. For me, it would be finding good ways to communicate. Being able to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Communication is both sides. It's listening, I would nearly say first.
Yes.
Being able to listen and know what the other person needs and needs. Then being able to express in a nice way your needs. I think that's probably one of the most important things in a couple.
Yes.
Another thing is maybe to remember that in a couple, there is the couple, there are the kids, there is your partner, but there is you. And you is, as Kathrine said before, the most important person for you. And if you're not in good shape, it's difficult to give love or to offer something.
Yeah.
So that, for me, are the two most important things. First, be what you need to be,
happy with yourself.
and be happy with yourself, in love with yourself, and then be able to communicate your needs and listen to the needs of your partner.
This is beautiful. That relationship with self can be, I've struggled with this throughout the years. I watched my mother get abused when I was 10, 11 years old for quite a few years. And it definitely challenged me to really love myself. In fact, I discovered that I decided I was never going to be strong enough, and that I was unworthy, that I couldn't protect my mom, that I wasn't strong enough to be her protector. So I'm not good enough, and I'm bad and wrong. And like, I made this terrible decision against myself as a child. And it led to me getting involved with gangs and crime and drug dealing, and until I almost died from an overdose, which was almost like, it was like the verdict that I cast against myself as a child manifested in me almost literally dying. Fortunately, I didn't. And I looked at everything and I said, whoa, what's going on? And I want to know, why did I end up this way? And the answer I got was because of that, because you decided that you were not enough. And you pretty much sentenced yourself to death. It wasn't what they did. It wasn't my stepdad or my mom drinking and being abused and all that and being around it. It was what I concluded about me. And that decision, it ruined me. And so what Serge, you're saying is, like, that relationship with self is so key. It's integral, because how could you give love if you don't even have that relationship with yourself? Yeah. And I really want to highlight again that people can work with someone like you guys, or one of you individually, and be guided. Like, this isn't something that we just know how to do sometimes automatically. We need support. It needs to be reflected to us from people who have walked the path and save us years of struggle, or at least, point us towards the success path. Otherwise we're wandering in like a wilderness without any guidance, and it's just so stressful or painful. And why? So I just say, yeah, get into contact with you guys, or find somebody, if not them. But this is so key. Thank you for that, Serge. And Kathrine, I want to hear, what is your answer to, the most important part of a relationship and salvaging the relationship? What to focus on?
Well, first of all, I want to say something important too. Sure. About relationships. I mean, it's one thing when you are single, when you are just dating, right? And you're just still single, maybe married. But when you have a family, when you have kids, I think it's such a big investment, right? And you want to, a motivation, what's important, and how to salvage it. You want to salvage it because you want to salvage your family. So, and then, wasting so much time that I see on lawyers, not just financially, but all this energy on trying to get a divorce and going back and forth and talking nasty to each other. Just that, to want to avoid that would be a motivation for me.
Yeah, and it would cost this much to get help, and it costs I can't even show the measure. The cost, not just in finances. We're talking about, you're saying, the energy, then the attitude, then the resentments, and the kids pay the price. I mean, you can't even put a price on that. It's ridiculous.
The damage on the kids that go through that.
Yeah.
So it's like go for your life, salvage your relationship. You're gonna die, you're gonna sink. Salvage yourself. Damage your kids, if anything. And I think it's really stepping back from all the things that we think are so important, that are important, of course, work, friends, all the things that we do, and stepping back and say, okay, let me take some time. Let me make time, making time for the relationship.
Making time for the relationship, definitely.
For love and for relationship.
I know. So the contrast you created there was beautiful. It's here's the cost, and here's what can go really, really negative, and the outcome is so detrimental, and it costs so much to divorce and rip the kids out of a united home. It's but take the time, get the help, get the support. It's a little bit of this can remove all of that, which you're about to go into. It's you don't have to live into a future of all that suffering and put your children through that suffering if you just ask for help. I know for a fact a lot of couples don't actually get help, and they just separate. They're just too proud, and they just don't go for it. And it's they're stubborn, and it's man, you're going to pay a high price for that. I've seen it, and I've seen the kids of it. My friends were from divorced families. I'm from double divorced family, triple divorced family. It's painful. So.
It's like white people. And
We have a visitor.
yeah,
Hi.
I think it's like we wait, maybe they talk about it, you know, we're going to be talking about it. Oh yeah, we should do something, we should do something. But they don't take action. And taking action, I think, is the hard part.
That being said, let me say, what is the action they take to get to you guys?
So the only action is to send a text. The only thing is send a text and book just a 15-minute really cool conversation like we're having right now. This is all. That's the step of having a conversation.
I'm going to make sure people get that chance to do that when I share this.
Or come to
one of our classes.
To an event. It's a good way.
Yes.
The events, the games are a way for the couple together to have an idea of what will go on during this session. And so it's cool for that. I think it's a good way to.
I'll speak to it.
The idea.
Yeah, I've been to Tantra Games, and I have to say again, it was a huge blessing. So that happens. It's in Miami, and I'll think what I'll do is I'll put your Facebook page in the description, so people who want to find out how to get to a Tantra game, if they're in the South Florida area, or they want to fly in. Tantra Games are amazing.
Tantra Games is actually one part of what we do, and it's actually it is a co-creation with Ella White, and
yes,
I've been doing them.
Yes.
All over town. And we're also doing our own thing, Tantra Puja with Hip Tantra at our home, which is a more setting. And now we're starting to do them a little bit all over in like parties and different events, just to give a little introduction to people and set the mood up for the rest of the party, because a lot of times we go out and it's just, you know, dancing and drinking alcohol and, you know, fun time. But this is bringing more consciousness and presence to the people attending the party. And I want to say something also important about Tantra and about the interaction we have that I forgot to say earlier in the tantric date, is that we get high. So not just tantric date, but when you practice Tantra, you get high, and it's a natural high without alcohol or any substances. And it's so liberating to know that you don't need all that to feel high. And that's what we all want to feel, like high, right?
Yes.
In the stomach and happy.
A lot of energy is running, it's moving in your body.
And you get fit. And that to me also has been, a lot of people ask me, how do you stay in such a great shape? I say a lot of Tantra.
Wow. This is so beautiful. I really want to emphasize that, because I share this. I work in recovery centers, and I work with people struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. And I myself was in that world many, many years ago. And I tell them, I'm like, listen, I never stopped getting high. I just found healthy ways to feel pleasure and aliveness. And you guys are saying, hey, like the relationship can be the space. If you work together a certain way, there's a certain way of interacting that produces that delicious, like elevated feeling, and there's no alcohol involved or drugs. You guys are just, you're generating it from within. And I really love that you brought that up. I want people to understand that this is possible. It costs less. It has no hangover. It won't divide you from yourself or others. It can only create greater pleasure, longer lasting pleasure. So really, you know, this is a blessing to have both of you, Kathrine and Serge. You guys are a beautiful couple. I really love and honor the two of you and the work you do. You're a huge blessing to me personally. This conversation has enriched my heart already. It's brought more opportunity and possibility to my relationship, just being in this conversation. So I really acknowledge you for the work you've done. Kathrine, your commitment. Serge, your commitment. For being a model of parenting and intimacy and relationship. And that doesn't mean that you guys don't have challenges. I know you do. You've shared some of that. But like, here you are. I see the way you guys connect. And it's like, how does that happen after 20-something years? What? It's a phenomenon almost. And it's like, it should be the norm. So really, thank you both for being that.
It can be. We're working on that.
Yes, exactly. That's like the mission, right? It's like, hey, let's spread this to the world.
Spread the rest of the world, because the feminine Tantra is weaving of, means in Sanskrit, the weaving of the feminine and masculine energy.
Ooh, I love that.
So here, when we are doing these practices, we are using our feminine and masculine, and we are, both of us are masculine and feminine. So we weave our own masculine and feminine, and then together, and then we create oneness, the ultimate oneness, wholeness. And the world is yin and yang, right? Dark and light, and so we create that perfect alignment.
Oh man, you just brought some other big thing up. So I got like, there's so many people that want to change the world, and it's like, how can you change the world and bring love and unity to the world if you're not even doing that in your close relationships?
Exactly.
It's like, start there, and you will be the emulation of what's possible on a global scale.
Yes.
It really hit me when you said that.
Yes. Honoring the feminine and the masculine, which are part of this planet. Honoring.
And that's a conversation the world's having now too. There's more of this like, hey, let's embrace the divine feminine, the divine masculine, and honor both. And I'm starting to hear that more and more and more. I'm just so grateful for these conversations that are going out. I thank you guys for participating and sharing and being intimate with me in this conversation. You're so real and transparent, and you have so much like juice to give because of what you guys do and what you've practiced together and with so many other couples. I'm blessed and honored. I'm going to say thank you for being part of the Purpose and Power Talk Conversations on Transformation. I think this is like a really good one because it's about the transformation in relationship. I have transmuting as a word, which means to turn base metals into gold, right? And you said alchemy. It's like, hey, your relationship may be heavy. It may be like lead. It may seem worthless, but you can actually alchemize that and turn that worthless relationship into juicy, alive, golden beauty. You guys are amazing, and I really thank you for being part of this.
Thank you so much for the opportunity for this amazing moment to share, and great with technology that we can do that.
Oh, yes.
Right? And we actually talking about that, we do video sessions by video calls.
Wonderful. I'm going to talk to you about having that with you. I love that. So awesome. I'm going to wrap this call up, and I'm going to say thank you again. I really love and honor and bless both of you. And I want to make sure people get a hold of you. I'll put links in the description so that they can click through to find you on Facebook and various places to make sure they can get into communication with you. And I really honor and bless you guys for giving the time today. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.